Hey there, I'm Dr. Alex Mandell. If you or someone you love is managing diabetes, I want to ask you something. How many mornings have you woken up thinking you're doing everything right, but your blood sugar is still all over the place? Here's what I'm seeing in my practice every single day. Over 37 million Americans have diabetes. And more than 90% of them are making the exact same mistakes in their morning routine mistakes that sabotage their blood sugar control for the entire day before 9 a.m. even rolls around. The crazy part? Most of these mistakes aren't what you'd think. They're not about what you eat or whether you exercise. They're about 7 specific behaviors that mess with your circadian rhythm, your hormone levels, and your metabolic response. And the really good news is that once you fix these, you'll see results in as little as 3 days. In this video, I'm going to walk you through all 7 of these diabetes mistakes, back each one up with peer-reviewed science, and then show you exactly how to fix them. By the time we're done, you're going to have a morning routine that actually works with your body, not against it. So let's dive in. Let me start with something that seems really common sense, but is absolutely not. The first mistake is either skipping breakfast entirely or eating it way too late in the morning. Now, I get it. Some of you have heard about intermittent fasting and think that skipping breakfast is going to help your blood sugar. And actually, that's the problem right there. There's a huge difference between strategic intermittent fasting and just not eating because you're busy. Here's what the research shows. A landmark study published in the journal Diabetes Care in 2015 found that people with type 2 diabetes who ate breakfast had significantly better overall glucose control throughout the day compared to breakfast skippers. The reason is something called the dawn phenomenon between 4 and 8 a.m. Your body naturally produces cortisol, your stress hormone and growth hormone. These hormones tell your liver to release stored glucose to fuel your day. This is the dawn phenomenon, and it's totally normal. But here's the thing. If you don't eat breakfast, your body has no incoming glucose to balance against this hormone surge. So your blood sugar shoots up, your pancreas has to work overtime to bring it back down, and you start your day already in a metabolic deficit. When you eat a proper breakfast within 30-45 minutes of waking, especially one with protein and healthy fats, you give your body the glucose it needs and signal to your pancreas that it can work at a normal level. This single change can drop your fasting glucose by an average of 12-15 mg/dl within a week. Action step number 1, eat breakfast within 45 minutes of waking. I'm talking eggs with avocado, oatmeal with nuts and berries, or Greek yogurt with seeds. We're aiming for 25-30 grams of protein and at least 5 grams of fiber. Not a muffin, not a granola bar, real food. This one sounds almost too simple, but I promise you it's not. The second mistake is not rehydrating properly when you first wake up. You've been asleep for 7-9 hours without water. Your blood becomes more concentrated. Your cells are dehydrated. And here's the key part for diabetics. Your kidneys become less efficient at filtering glucose. This is called osmotic stress, and it's been shown in multiple studies to impair glucose regulation. A study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrated that proper hydration within 15 minutes of waking improved insulin sensitivity by up to 24% in people with type 2 diabetes. And a separate 2021 study in Nutrition and Metabolism showed that drinking water before meals actually reduced post-meal blood sugar spikes by an average of 22%. Here's why. Water restores your cells' osmotic balance, which allows your kidneys to filter more efficiently and your cells to respond better to insulin. It also activates something called thermogenesis, basically. Your body burns calories just from processing the water, which increases your metabolic rate right from the start of the day. And here's something most people don't know. Dehydration can actually make your blood sugar appear higher than it really is on a meter because the glucose is more concentrated in your blood. So you might be making medication decisions based on incorrect readings. Action step number 2. Before anything else, before your phone, before checking email, before coffee, drink 16-20 ounces of room temperature water. You can add a tiny pinch of sea salt or lemon for electrolytes and flavor, but no sugar, no juice, no coffee yet, just water. Do this immediately. Then wait 15 minutes before your breakfast. Mistake number 3, checking your phone before checking your blood sugar. Okay, this is where we get into the brain science, and it's really important. The third mistake is the one that probably applies to 99% of you, checking your phone before you've checked your blood sugar or given yourself a moment to wake up. The second you wake up, your cortisol is naturally high. It's supposed to be. That's what wakes you up. But the moment you look at your phone and see notifications, emails, news headlines, or social media, especially anything stressful, you're dumping another massive load of cortisol into your bloodstream on top of the already elevated natural morning cortisol. Research from the Stanford School of Medicine shows that acute stress causes a spike in glucagon, the hormone that tells your liver to release glucose and simultaneously suppresses insulin secretion. This means that checking your phone during those first critical morning minutes literally programs your body to have higher blood sugar for the next 2-4 hours. A 2019 study published in Health Psychology found that people who checked work email in the first hour of waking had 27% higher average blood glucose readings throughout the entire day compared to people who waited until after breakfast to check their devices. Think about that. Just by checking your email, you're programming yourself for worse glucose control. For people with diabetes, that's a huge deal. Action step number 3. Leave your phone in another room for the first 45 minutes after you wake up. I mean, completely out of sight. If you use a continuous glucose monitor, you can wear that, but that's it. No phone. Use this time to hydrate, eat breakfast mindfully, maybe take a short walk. Your nervous system needs 30-45 minutes to downregulate that acute morning stress response before you expose it to blue light and digital stressors. Mistake number 4, not moving your body right after eating all right. This is one of my favorite ones because it's such a game changer and so many people don't know about it. The fourth mistake is not moving your body in the first 15-20 minutes after eating breakfast. Here's something that might blow your mind. A 2022 study from the University of Limerick found that just 3 minutes of light walking or even standing while doing squats after eating reduced post-meal blood sugar spikes by an average of 30%. 3 minutes. That's it. Here's why this works. When you contract your muscles, those muscles pull glucose directly out of your bloodstream without requiring insulin to do it. It's called glucose uptake, and it bypasses the normal insulin-dependent pathway. Your muscles literally become glucose sinks. The larger the muscle groups you use, the better. That's why walking is so effective. Your legs are your largest muscles. But even standing and doing bodyweight squats or marching in place while brushing your teeth works. A subsequent study from Diabetologia showed that people who did this consistently for just 2 weeks reduced their average daily blood sugar levels by nearly as much as some medications would, and they maintained it with no side effects. The timing matters too. You want to start moving within the first 15 minutes of finishing your meal. This is when your blood sugar is rising most rapidly, and that's the perfect moment to intercept that rise. Action step number 4, immediately after finishing breakfast, spend 2-3 minutes doing light activity. Walk around your house, do 20 bodyweight squats, walk up and down stairs, dance to a song. Nothing intense, we're not training here, just movement. Aim for 15-20 minutes of this post-meal movement every day. Mistake number 5, having coffee before eating. Oh man, I know this one's going to be unpopular. The 5th mistake is having coffee on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. Look, I love coffee. I'm not telling you to give it up, but the timing is crucial for blood sugar management. When you drink caffeine on an empty stomach, you're triggering a specific cascade of hormonal responses that increase your baseline blood glucose and reduce your insulin sensitivity for hours afterward. A study from the journal Diabetologia showed that caffeine consumption without food increased fasting blood glucose levels by an average of 9%. But here's the key finding. When the same amount of caffeine was consumed with food, particularly with protein and fat, that glucose spike was almost completely prevented. Here's what's happening. Caffeine increases the activity of your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight system. This tells your liver to dump glucose into the bloodstream, similar to what happens with stress. Additionally, caffeine suppresses insulin secretion by about 20-30% for up to 3 hours after consumption. If you eat food with that coffee, especially protein and healthy fats, you create a buffer. The food triggers insulin release, which counteracts the caffeine suppression, and the protein and fat slow down glucose absorption, preventing a sharp spike. A 2021 study in Nutrients found that people who had their coffee with breakfast had nearly 40% better glucose control throughout the day than people who drank it black on an empty stomach. Action step number 5. Save your coffee for after breakfast. Eat something first, even if it's just a small handful of almonds or a piece of cheese and a few berries. Then have your coffee. Or, if you're going to have coffee before breakfast, make it bulletproof style, add a tablespoon of butter or McT oil and a splash of cream. This gives your body the fat it needs to buffer the caffeine's effects. Mistake number 6, not getting sunlight exposure in the morning. This one surprised a lot of my patients when I first explained it to them. The 6th mistake is not getting bright light exposure, specifically sunlight, in the first 30-60 minutes after waking. Your circadian rhythm controls an enormous amount of your glucose metabolism. When your circadian rhythm is dysregulated, which happens when you don't get enough morning sunlight, your entire metabolic system gets thrown off. Your cortisol timing gets messed up, your insulin timing gets messed up, your pancreatic function gets messed up. Research from UC San Diego found that exposure to bright light, particularly in the morning, regulated melatonin timing, which then regulated cortisol timing, which then regulated glucose metabolism and insulin secretion throughout the entire day. People who got 30 minutes of bright light exposure within an hour of waking had significantly better glucose control than those who didn't. A more recent 2023 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrated that morning sunlight exposure improved HbA1c, your 3-month average blood sugar, by an average of 0.5%, which is substantial. For context, that's about the same improvement you'd get from starting a moderate dose diabetic medication. And here's another thing. Light exposure in the morning suppresses melatonin production, which is good because you need low melatonin during the day. But excessive light at night increases melatonin and disrupts your sleep, which then disrupts your glucose control the next day. So by getting strong morning light, you're actually improving your sleep quality that very night. The mechanism is straightforward. Blue light from the sun signals to your retina and your brain that it's time to wake up. This synchronizes your suprachiasmatic nucleus, basically your brain's master clock, which then coordinates hormone release throughout your body for the entire day. Action step number 6. Step outside for at least 10-15 minutes within 1 hour of waking. You want direct sunlight on your eyes, not through a window, because glass filters a lot of the important wavelengths. If it's cloudy, stay out a bit longer. If it's winter or you live somewhere very far north, consider a light therapy box of at least 10,000 lux. No sunglasses during this time, just natural bright light. Mistake number 7. Starting your day in a reactive mode, the 7th and final mistake, is starting your day in a reactive, stressed out state rather than a calm, intentional state. This might sound like wellness fluff, but it's actually deeply grounded in endocrinology. Chronic stress and acute morning stress both dysregulate your HPA axis, your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which controls cortisol release and downstream glucose metabolism. When you wake up stressed or immediately engage with stressors, your sympathetic nervous system stays dominant. This keeps cortisol elevated. Keeps your body in a catabolic state, meaning it's breaking down tissue and storing fat rather than using energy efficiently, and it suppresses insulin sensitivity. A study in psychosomatic medicine found that people with chronic morning stress had 35% worse glucose tolerance than people with low stress, even when all other variables were controlled. Another study from Harvard Medical School showed that people who engaged in just 10 minutes of mindfulness or breath work in the morning had significantly better blood sugar readings throughout the day and improved insulin sensitivity after just 1 week. Here's what actually happens on a biochemical level. When you're calm and your parasympathetic nervous system is activated, your rest and digest system, your body upregulates enzymes that are involved in glucose metabolism. It shifts from storing fat to utilizing energy. Your insulin sensitivity improves. Your pancreas doesn't have to work as hard. The circadian cortisol rhythm is crucial. Under normal circumstances, cortisol should spike in the morning to wake you up, then gradually decrease throughout the day. But if you start your day in a reactive, stressed state, you're distorting that natural curve, and it messes with everything downstream. Action step number 7. Build 10-15 minutes of intentional calm into your morning routine before you engage with any obligations or stressors. This could be meditation, breathwork, box breathing is incredibly effective, journaling, or just sitting quietly with tea. The point is to give your parasympathetic nervous system a chance to activate before you flip into work mode. This single change will improve your glucose control more than you might expect. Okay, so let's put all 7 of these together into an actual morning routine that you can implement starting tomorrow. This doesn't have to be complicated. 6 Aloro and wake up. No phone. Leave it in another room. 6 Aloro 6:05 and drink 16-20 ounces of room temperature water with a pinch of sea salt. 6:05, 6:20 am 10-15 minute breath work or meditation session. Box breathing, guided meditation, whatever works for you. 6:20, 6:35 am get 10-15 minutes of direct sunlight. Walk outside, stand on your porch, go in your backyard. Let your eyes receive the light. 6:35, 6:45 am eat a proper breakfast with 25-30 g of protein and 5+ grams of fiber. Eggs, oats, Greek yogurt, real food. 6:45, 7 Aluro am light movement. Walk, squats, stairs, dance, 15 minutes of gentle activity. 7 Aluro am now you can have your coffee if you want it. You can check your phone. You're ready for your day. Total time investment about 60 minutes. I know that sounds like a lot, but I want you to think about what you're getting in return. Significantly better blood sugar control, improved insulin sensitivity, better energy throughout the day, and better sleep at night. If you can't do a full 60 minutes, start with the water, breakfast, and 3 minutes of movement. That's your minimum viable routine, and it will still make a significant difference. Before we wrap up, I want to give you the big picture of why these changes work together synergistically. These 7 steps address the core biological systems that regulate glucose metabolism, your circadian rhythm, your nervous system, your hormonal cascade, your muscle glucose uptake, and your metabolic rate. By fixing all of them simultaneously in the morning, you're not just making one small improvement, you're systematically rebalancing your entire endocrine system. Research shows that people who implement these 7 changes see measurable improvements in their fasting glucose within 3 days, in their HbA1c within 4-6 weeks, and in many cases they can reduce their medication within 8 weeks. Some people even reverse their pre-diabetic status entirely. The key word here is consistency. This isn't about being perfect, this is about being consistent. Pick 4 of these steps that feel most doable for you, implement them for 21 days, and then add the other 3. That's how you build something that lasts. Here's what I want you to do right now. In the comments below, tell me which one of these 7 mistakes you're currently making, just one, and tell me which action step you're going to implement first. I read every comment, and I want to see you win at this. If you found this valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Every single week, I'm putting out science-backed strategies for managing diabetes and living your healthiest life. And if you want a downloadable guide with all 7 action steps plus meal ideas and a 30-day implementation tracker, I've put that link in the description. Remember, managing diabetes isn't about perfection. It's about working with your body's natural biology instead of against it. These 7 changes do exactly that. Your future self, the one with stable blood sugar and real energy, will thank you for starting today. I'm Dr. Alex Mandell, and I'll see you in the next video.